another incongruous ingathering of eye-related information, including income tax, inflation, and imperial Rome. Let's have a look at tonight's four eyes. The eye-catching Sandy Toksvig. The eye-watering Al Murray. The Irish Dara O'Brien. And it's Alan Davis. Right, well, let's hear your eye buzzers. Sandy goes... That was an ibis. Ooh. Al goes... That was an ibex. And Dara goes... That was a Seat Ibiza. And Alan goes...
I think of grand.
And don't forget, if you spot a question to which you think nobody knows the answer, you can always play your ignoramus joker, like so.
Nobody knows.
That's right, there may be a question to which the answer is nobody knows. So describe, if you can, in detail, the world's most exotic tax inspectors.
Not the ones who brought me into Balham once to...
Were you once given a right going over?
We were given a right going over, yeah.
Were you?
I'd taken tax advice from Harry Hill, so it was my own fault. He used to be a doctor, so I thought he knew what he was talking about.
I once spent 3 days with a tax inspector, going through, honestly, every single decimal point of everything, and after 3 days, he didn't find anything, and he said to me, "To be honest, Miss Toksvig, I just wanted to meet you."
Wow!
I know, I wanted to...
Was either of them exotic? Did they have a flowery tie or anything about them?
Is it going to be one of those tax haven-y things?
No, it's not a tax haven-y thing. We're in the Middle East, we're in an Islamic country, where people will be very embarrassed by a certain type of person, a transgender person. Oh. And in Pakistan, they have a squadron of transgender tax collectors who come basically to embarrass people into paying.
They go, hiya!
Well,
yeah, all right.
First of all, you go to the shop and say, you owe us this much in tax, and they will simply say, we refuse to pay. And they say, OK, then tomorrow we will send in a group of transgender tax collectors who will dance and sing in your shop until you pay.
The crying game.
But only 5% of people pay tax in Pakistan, don't they?
Well, that's why...
So it's not working, is it?
There's only so many transgender people in tax. They're very busy. They're building it, I am what I am, in shops over there.
Well, there is quite a transgender, I suppose one would use the word community, in Pakistan, and they have obviously had it very tough, especially in the more extremist parts of that country where such things are frowned upon. But they are classed together with transvestites and eunuchs, and there's a special word for them which is hijra.
But how extraordinary for a mother. She sees her son putting on her high heels, and immediately she looks at him now and thinks, tax inspector.
Yes, it is. It's a glamour profession now.
I have to do this, Mother. I'm a tax inspector.
It may well happen.
Nothing else is going on.
Are you wearing that dress this evening?
But there you are. In India, in Andhra Pradesh, they've tried drumming. They simply drum outside the shop or household and keep it up until they pay their taxes.
But what if you own a drum shop?
That would be, obviously...
That would be a fatal flaw, wouldn't it?
It would, but that's going to be a very low percentage. You're nitpicking here, I think, Dara.
What would we do here with Morris dancers, I think? That would, outside your shop.
That might, well...
would make... I'll pay, I will pay, yes.
Well, basically, the governments of the world are looking for imaginative solutions to raise and, you know, their taxes. And that is one, using transgender people in Karachi. You're looking astonished.
I'm totally astonished. Yeah. This is boggling. It's brilliant.
So while living in Pakistan, was there any point at which Osama bin Laden didn't pay his taxes and was in danger of 4 transgender people knocking the door of his massive compound?
No wonder he was hiding.
Really? Yeah.
I wonder what that man does for a living, what's he done, I got the whole conversation. 4 of them turned up.
Yeah, 4 of them going through his papers, as you can see.
You come for my tax? I sold you that scarf.
I think that's a counterfeit designer bag that she's wearing as well. I suspect it isn't real.
He's going to get the hit squad.
Yes, he's going to get the full show.
Yeah.
Here come the girls.
Yeah.
We are the hit
sing
squad.
about.
We are the hit squad, and the first hit will be Shares, I believe.
Absolutely. There you go. Now, compare the tax advantages of being a drug dealer in Tennessee to those of being a bank robber in the Netherlands.
Is it in Tennessee they can claim back the expense of buying the drugs against tax as a business expense or something?
You're in
There's
the right area.
There's some kind of
Got it.
accounting loophole that...
What they tried in Tennessee was to put a duty on drugs as you do on alcohol and tobacco. And so all these criminals who were found as drug dealers not only went to prison, but they had to pay this tax on
Like a sort of
the
stamp
drugs.
duty.
Yes, but then constitutionally it was discovered to be basically against the American... It counted as double jeopardy because they were getting punished twice for the same crime. So now the state of Tennessee is paying money back to all the drug dealers. It's already paid... Brilliant. It's paid millions out to about 161 people have already received $3.7 million because it was a bit of a screw-up. They thought it was a really clever idea of getting extra money out of drug criminals, instead of which they've actually lost out on
They'll
it.
only spend on drugs.
It might
But if you're putting that with bank robbers in the Netherlands, it must be that you can claim for the expense of your gun, or the claim
Yes.
of... Is that right? You must be
Absolutely
able
right.
to...
There was someone who was found guilty of holding a place up with a gun, and he was fined, and his gun was an allowable expense. So it was deducted, the price of his gun was deducted from his fine.
But presumably you'd need a receipt, first of all.
So if you
It was an
merely committed
expense, a
crimes...
working expense.
If you committed crimes that were worth less than your gun, you would always be ahead.
Yes.
To a certain extent.
Yes.
A very expensive getaway car.
Oh, yeah, use a Porsche as a getaway car. Very expensive silk stockings of your face.
Lumberla, you see.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, presumably you'd have to prove you bought the right thing that was appropriate for the crime. I mean, if you had a gun like that in the picture, that's fine. But if you had a ballistic missile, probably they're not going to cough up.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Was it Robert Morley used to run Miss World? Was it
Eric Morley, I
Eric
think his name
Morley.
was.
He
Yeah.
claimed his racehorses as a tax
Did he?
expense. And it went all the way to court with him saying, basically, I'm in the business of being Eric Morley, and that includes owning racehorses to keep up my kind of lifestyle and have the swagger of being the man that runs Miss World. I need racehorses, and he won.
Good God.
So he was able to claim his racehorses as a business expense.
I once bought a racehorse by mistake. And
What had you originally gone into the shop for?
I was there as a tax inspector. And,
You wanted a pint of Activia pouring yoghurt, and you got a racehorse.
oh, you heard about that little problem I had. Stay with us, people. No, what happened was I was at Epsom and somebody had given a racehorse to auction to the crowd to raise money for charity, and I was asked if I would auction it off. And so I said, "Who would I bid for this marvellous race?" And I'm standing next to the horse, and nobody bid. So I said, "Well, I'll start us off. I'll say 3,000 guineas." Silence. I was the only person who bid on the horse, and I'd come in my sports car. I had no idea how I was going to get it home.
So did you have to pay out? Did you?
Well, no, the man very nicely bought it back off me.
Oh.
Yeah,
How much for?
Well, I
40 quid.
lost on it. Wow. So I had, for about a minute and a half, I owned a racehorse.
Did you follow the fortunes of that racehorse at all?
No, I've never been to the races again. It's too terrifying.
Good Lord. Well, there you are. Yeah.
I do know an actor who claimed his carpet on the grounds that it was wear and tear because he used to walk up and down learning his lines. Didn't get away with it. But he still put it in.
Good effort.
Yes, absolutely. I tried to claim for a bed once. No reason. I just thought it was new. I was new to the game. I just thought, you put everything down?
Because you had to sleep with directors in order to get past.
Exactly. Yeah. And it turns out you don't actually have to use a bed for that. They will behind a skip, anything. They're not discerning about this. Like I was dressing the room. I was putting music on. They don't care. They want to use your go. Right? You're nothing to them, right?
I did try and claim for some paintings in my office. And I was in the tax inspector's place, And he said, what is this paintings in the office? I said, oh, for goodness sake, nobody could possibly work in an office which had no art in it. And as I looked around, there was a single solitary poster about the Heimlich manoeuvre. I couldn't think how often that would come up in a text.
Really?
That's it.
Not when you're on your own
No,
in particular, yeah.
Well, people will try anything, basically. Now, why does this house have bricked-up windows?
Ah, no, I expect there'll be a klaxon.
Yeah.
But there was window tax, wasn't there?
Yeah, people like to go around the place and point at a blank window and go, yeah, window tax, you see. Yes, there was a window tax, so they filled them in. Yes, because there was a window tax from the 1690s right up to 1851.
What is this, then? This is sort of 18th century fashionably solid curtains.
Yes, basically. This is just to balance the house out, basically. There were a lot of bricked-in ones, but this is an example of where it was just used to make it look slightly more symmetrical.
It looks more exactly like they had a child they didn't love, and they bricked it into a part of the house.
I think if you look at the brickwork, I think there was an extension somewhere, and anyway.
But that doesn't excuse the fact that Granny has been living in that slim portion of the house, and they just slide pizzas under the door, and jeez.
Was there not a brick tax at one point? Because I think you can tell the age of some London buildings by the size of the brick.
Is that right? There was certainly, before the window tax, there was a hearth and chimney tax for fireplaces. And then they decided the window tax would be a good idea. And it was about in the 1850s that they realised that the British glass industry was doing very badly. There's an example of genuinely, those were blanked out for window tax. People were not getting enough light, and it was very disadvantageous for the poor, who particularly lived in dark places. And also the British glass industry was getting really depressed.
But on the other hand, the candle makers were raking
Candle makers were raking it in, there is that. Yeah.
But is it or isn't it where daylight robbery comes from, this idea of that you've taken away the windows and the window tax was daylight robbery? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think it is. No, I think daylight robbery is quite simply is that you just take something in place. It's just shameless robbery, daylight robbery. I don't.
That house would make a very good Advents calendar.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, imagine that huge chocolate behind it.
Yeah. Scare the life out of the children.
But surely somebody has rung the doorbell in this house and go, by the way, they've repealed the window tax.
Yes. But other countries have chosen other strange taxes. What do you think in Amsterdam? What do you think they taxed?
Oh, there's a narrowness of the, isn't there? The width of the building, yeah.
They tax the width of a house in Amsterdam. Hence, you get this extraordinary Dutch, very, very narrow houses.
And all of them have that, like a gable extended...
for a pulley system.
Thing, a pulley system outside, so everything got lifted up because the doors were too narrow to bring
exactly. In. But it results in rather beautiful architecture, don't you think? Nobody agrees with me. Everyone thinks that's a hideous sight. I think
it's lovely.
I think they just look very narrow.
Well, yes.
I mean, they're nice buildings. Could be a bit wider.
Could be wider.
It's the sort of building that I think, just imagine if you'd forgotten something on the top floor.
That's true.
And you'd gone to what you wouldn't. You couldn't. You'd buy another, wouldn't it? Whatever it was, you'd buy another.
It's nice to have the stairs up, maybe in a spiral, but there should be a pole down.
Yeah, much better.
Have you ever been down a fireman's pole?
No, I haven't.
You really tried to keep a straight face.
I meant it in the most serious way.
Look, that raises another question. Why don't firemen live in bungalows? Why the pole?
Yes.
Why not be on the same level as the fire truck?
Because you've got to jump into your boots, haven't you? You've got the boots.
No, you know you don't. You can just put them on. Oh, you can use up the trees. Just put the boots on. Pull the boots on.
You're thinking it's Wallace and Gromit you're thinking of.
It's as if going to a fire isn't enough of an adventure, isn't it?
Yes,
it's not exciting enough.
It's quite scary. I visited a fire station in Indiana, and they said, "Go on, jump." And there's a pole, and I suddenly realised I don't want to do this. I eventually did it, and it's horribly squeaky as well, which it's like nails on a blackboard.
Is it like a slide that's warm?
It should have been oiled. I feel.
Well, oil's flammable. They can't turn up at a fire covered in oil.
You're quite right. Yeah, I don't think things think through. I really don't.
Surely there has to be training, because I would presume that if you jump and don't grab it with your skin, if you grab it with cloth, you'll just go straight down at nearly terminal velocity. And
grab it with your leg.
Get nasty burns.
Oh, really? Because I would presume that would be an ironic thing to get a burn on the way to a fire.
While they're going down, holding on with their legs, they're putting their cap on and doing the...
Bungalow.
That's it, you're right.
They've got to see the fire
Bungalow.
engines.
I'm sorry.
Fire engines